Is my hat backwards? Is my camera flipped?
No, we got you, buddy.
Okay, on my screen.
And that's how we started the video, folks.
We're fine. We're good.
Hey, welcome LinkedIn and YouTube. Welcome to the water cooler. You're hanging out with Skofi and Robert Gillette. Say hi, everybody. And
hola,
our illustrious producer, Sam Disraeli of your tech department. How y'all doing? If you're rolling through social media and you're coming across this live stream, this is pretty casual, laid-back excuse for Robert and I to hang out and get on some soapboxes and talk about things that we find interesting. But we want to hear from you too. We absolutely want your opinions. And if you're just friends of ours, peers in the industry, and you just want to say hi, Sam here will drop you a link in the chat and we'll pop you on screen for a few minutes. You can ask us a question, make a comment. Just tell us what you're having for breakfast, if you're having breakfast at 12 on the East Coast. And we'll have some fun. Or lunch. I haven't eaten today. I had a protein shake. Have you eaten today, Robert?
No, just coffee for me. So I'm nice and wired.
Of course, you're Central Time. So
yeah, I'm Central Time now. So it's just, we're just rounding. We're getting close to lunch.
If you blew us off right now, you could squeak in a brunch.
I have no need for a brunch. That just means a nap afterwards.
That's a fact.
So
that's a fact. Sam, you strike me as a brunch guy.
I'm only a brunch guy on Sundays. I'm in a house full of women. I've got two girls. And my wife. I've only got brunch on Sundays, but it's pretty much a date.
I love it. I love it.
Interesting.
Okay, so if you're new to the water cooler, we're just going to have some conversation and we hope you join us. So don't be shy in the chat. If you want to make a comment, please do. If you want to pop on screen, you should. Robert's provided us our first soapbox for today. And Sam, why don't you pop it on screen for us real fast and then we'll have some fun.
Wait, you wanted me in or out? Sorry.
No, he wants the text on the screen, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, you can stay. Go. It's up to you, buddy.
Yeah, the banner. Let's get the banner on.
And you did go with the lowercase p. That's good. That's a choice. Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that. So yeah, people quit bad managers, not bad jobs. What questions do you have about this? It seems pretty self-explanatory, but you know.
Okay, but so let's talk about it. In our world, Robert, yours and mine, we work with IT service providers across the United States and have relations with them across the globe. And there seems to be a universal challenge, especially in the growth side of the MSP business, hiring and retaining good people, or I should just say people, maybe not even good people, just people in general.
Any people.
Yeah. If you're an MSP watching this, what's your experience been? Have you had salespeople that worked out, salespeople that didn't, business development reps that worked out that didn't? Tell us why you think it's the case. Now, Robert's making the bold, audacious statement that people quit bad managers, not bad jobs. So have you had a salesperson quit and did you think it was their fault? Did you think it was your fault? Who's willing to take some ownership and accountability for it? But Robert, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, so this gets up more what I call my justice rankles. Like I don't like, it bothers me when I see people blamed for things that aren't their fault, you know, and that's just one of the things that drives me nuts, especially around this whole idea of like hired a sales guy. And I talked to a ton of MSPs that are like, yeah, I've been around for 15 years and I probably hired 5-6 sales guys. None of them worked out, you know? And I just be like, really? You found 6 people who jumped into your pool and then drowned and you think they're the problem, you know? It's just like, no, I'm not saying they weren't the problem, but like somewhere in there, it's like the same. It's so funny because so many MSPs have this, if you say to them, hey, you followed a process to hire an MSP and then that MSP did poorly. And now you're going to run that same process. Do you think you're going to have a different result? We would logically all go, yeah, that makes total sense. What a great tactic. What a logical thing. But then we say like, hey, you hired 5 salespeople and none of them worked out. And now you're going to hire another salesperson and you think it's going to go differently. And they were like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, well, it's like 2 + 2 = a potato, man. I just don't understand. Like, it just drives me a little bit nuts when I run into those people. So,
well, I think what a lot of folks assume when they have that experience with people they hired is, well, I just hired the wrong one. This one was a bad fit. I'm still looking for my forever salesperson. And we haven't found each other yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And sure, look, it's one of those, like, it's an old proverb. Like, it's not like a real proverb. It's just something someone told me, which means it's proverbially true. It's like not always true all the time, but like sometimes it's true. And I remember one guy said, he was like, if someone calls you a horse, just laugh at them. If another person calls you a horse, stop laughing. And if a third person calls you a horse, like, just for fun, look at what saddles cost, just in case, And I feel like if you hired a sales guy and he didn't work out, and you hired another gal and she didn't work out, and like you hire a third person, they just also flushed out. Like, at some point you have to stop and go, like, man, I'm spending an incredible amount of money and energy failing.
That's right.
Like, it just drives me nuts how many people still just can't seem to see that. And they just keep going to, well, I found this other guy. He used to he runs an MSP, but it's not a successful one. He just wants to, like, I'm going to acquire him, and I'm going to take his book of business and I'll put him in sales. I'm just like, well, okay. Yeah, that's different maybe, but like, I don't know. It's just one of those things that drives me nuts.
Yes, Sam. We saw you chuckling violently backstage in the studio. So good. Yeah. Where to begin on this? So there's so many reasons why I think IT providers have this experience with hiring salespeople. One of them is not knowing what it is they sell. So when they bring somebody on board, if you just think of sales as this general, like, transactional experience, and this guy used to sell solar, so he must be able to sell IT. This guy sold insurance, so he must be able to sell IT. This guy is really personable. This individual has got a lot of charisma. This person is a really great people person. And they're like, they must be able to sell IT. Now, I want to just disillusion something here. What you might be hearing is like, oh, it's hard to sell IT. Yeah, maybe. But it's like, anyone can do it, frankly. I believe this. I've heard people say not everyone can do it. I disagree. Sales is a skill that anyone can go learn. But when you're hiring somebody into your engine, to your business, and you're passing the hot potato of sales and abdicating the responsibility of sales to anybody and expecting them to take the same level of ownership for your venture that you have as the guy who will one day hopefully exit if you're lucky, right? Then that is just setting yourself and them up for failure, right? So,
yeah, I mean, some of that stuff I really agree with. There's a couple of things that I actually am not sure I agree with. I think that selling IT services is really hard. I think it might be one of the hardest things in the world to sell. That being said, it's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination. And I also agree that anyone can do it. I don't think everyone will do it. It was kind of like from Ratatouille, that like anyone can cook, meaning that not everyone can cook, but a good cook can come from anywhere. And I imagine sales is a lot the same way. And we joke around in the Growth OS that it's the difference between a sales pro and a sales bro. A sales bro just like floundered his way through college, but everybody liked him. He drank a lot of beer, and now he graduated with his communications degree, and he's not sure what he wants to be when he grows up. So he gets into sales after a grueling 8-month unemployment search. Like, that's a sales bro, and that person believes a lot of their experience and skill and talent with people will get them through. And if you sell solar, maybe it will. But if you sell IT, it's probably not going to go great. What we're looking for is sales pros or sales professionals. And I don't use that word lightly. I think of a professional, I think of a doctor, a lawyer, a CPA, someone who invests in their own education, performs to a level of standards, and then continues that education throughout their entire time they'll be doing the job.
Right.
Somewhere in there is the real answer, especially when it comes to IT sales, which is incredibly difficult. Because again, it's like asking someone to marry you on the steps of divorce court. And the
Mhm.
only thing you can offer is the same promise as the last guy made. And that didn't work out so well. So, like,
That's
how do
right.
you do that? It's not going to be easy.
Key word that you said there, I believe, is invest. And when you're
Mhm.
looking at a sales professional, and you're saying that individual is going to invest in their own professionalism, their own skill set. Now, if you happen to be an MSP who has hired somebody who is, in fact, a true sales professional who takes ownership of their role and responsibility for what you've given them, you might get lucky. Some of you have gotten lucky and you've hired somebody that maybe was like a Robert when he worked for an MSP who is like, this is how I get paid. I'm going to go figure it out. I don't need, like, I would be nice maybe if I had executive support and I had the right infrastructure around me, but I'm going to take ownership and I'm going to go figure this out. I'm here to tell you that that's the exception, not the rule, of the person that does not necessarily need the level of
Mhm.
management that most salespeople need. So
100%.
someone's doing the investing. Either the individual sees the opportunity on their own and they're going to invest in themselves and be successful no matter what you do,
Mhm.
or you're going to have to invest in them.
Well, yeah, and that's the other half of that is like why the banner doesn't talk about professionalism. The banner's talking about like what happens when you get one of those people who
That's right.
has the what I'm gonna call the raw materials available to them, but they
Mhm.
haven't gone through the crucible of refining those into something usable.
That's right.
Like a good sales manager is gonna discover the difference between an explosion and a rocket ship. Like
Right.
you need to be able to put the right materials under the right pressure. And when that pressure is released, it puts a rocket into orbit. If you do that wrong as a manager, you just cause an explosion.
That's
And
right.
that's messy and expensive and not very fun to sit through. And so like that's the challenge I'm always asking people is like, hey, what's the root cause of why these people failed? Because if you're sitting there and you're a manager, if you're like an MSP owner, you're like, I've hired salespeople, they never work out. It's like, well, okay, you're either picking the wrong ones, you're either setting up the wrong conditions for their employment, or you got those first two things right and you screw it up, like in the management. Like there aren't a whole lot of other options out there other than that, I guess, when we're talking about scale.
Right. No, I totally agree. I'm going to anticipate what some of our viewers might be hearing, and I want to talk about it. Right. What they might be hearing is, you just said, Robert, I'm the MSP owner, and you just said that I need to be a sales manager now, and I'm looking at my budget of time that I have to dedicate to this new job you've just given me. When before, with all the people that I hired at the steps of the divorce court, as you said, what it used to be was, here's your job description, here's access to the things you need. Let's check in once a week. Tell me how it's going. That's not working. So now I got to put on my sales manager pants. How am I going to do that?
Yeah.
Where do I begin, Robert?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And I'm going to say the first thing you got to do is like, there's a great book. I assume it's a great book. I only read the summary from ChatGPT, but called Stealing Fire. It's this idea that like the first person to create fire expended an incredible amount of energy and thought leadership and discipline and systems to like make fire. The second guy just got fire. Like he just got it from the first guy, and the cost of acquisition was very low. So like I guess you got to figure out for yourself. The first thing is, are you going to reinvent the wheel and figure out how to do this, or are you going to as we say, put on your white belt again. Recognize that while you might be a successful MSP owner in lots of ways, in this way, you're not. And so you're going to do what is necessary to become good at it. And the first part of that is accepting that you don't know what you're doing in this area and that something it needs to change or you're just going to get the same result. And then you need to find someone who can tell you what to do. And then you listen to them and do everything they tell you.
Listen and do. Listen and do. So if you don't have that skill set, how could you ever seek to teach it? How could you ever seek to manage a thing that you've never been able to do on your own? I agree with that. I think that's another primary reason, perhaps the primary reason that your first salespeople don't work out is because you're trying to bring someone to help launch a rocket ship that you've never successfully launched before.
Oh, that's so tough. Like, and that's because, you just hit on something that I think is really important, because even if you organically grew your MSP to like $3 or $5 or even $10 million in revenue, like it was owner-led sales. Even if you had support staff, even if you had BDRs on your team or a marketing, like it's still at some point, the only reason anyone gives you money is because you sat with them.
That's right.
And finished the job. And you're going to start the process of building a sales engine, which is like a machine, like a manufacturing process. Pour money in one side, out the other side comes new client revenue. Like, to have a machine like that, a sales engine, like is going to require you to do something you've never done before.
That's right.
And so it doesn't really matter how successful you are. Are you going to, like, again, it's just cheaper to steal the fire than it is to start from the beginning. So
steal the fire. I always tell people, I've gotten some feedback from people that I need to stop saying this, but I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's true. I tell people that when it's in a consulting engagement or me like teaching sales, I always tell people there's nothing I can teach you that you couldn't go learn on your own. There's nothing particularly special about my version of bleeding, sweating, and crying that other people haven't already done. And people tell me, it's like, no, Jonathan, your unique experiences are valid and you should absolutely not say that anymore. But my point is, these are problems that have been solved before.
Yeah, I mean, it's the tough part is like every consultant wants to think that they've got some secret sauce, and I think that's true. But in most cases, the secret sauce is your delivery method. It's
That's
not.
right.
I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, man. It's there's just different flavors of the same ice cream, and so like the idea is that maybe you could learn almost everything that you could possibly learn from me from anywhere. But if you like hearing it from me, there's value in that. And then there's that small percentage of like, there are people that have been places you've never been.
That's right.
And there is some, so like me, I don't think I have that much more experience, but I think like if I was going to get President Obama in here to tell me about leadership, he's probably going to have some level of experience that I can't touch or anyone I know can touch, because I don't know that many former US presidents.
That's right.
And so like there is this value of like part of that flavor is taking that same knowledge you could learn anywhere, but running it through the experience of an individual. There's some value in that.
I completely agree there's value in it. And I want to be clear about something. There's absolutely a place for a coach and a teacher. Think of sales as like fitness. I always come back to this analogy because it works just so darn well. Like if you feel like you are out of shape, unhealthy, low energy, you're not happy with your physical life, right? You don't necessarily need a fitness coach or health and wellness coach to go and make better choices and to discipline yourself and to, live the life that you wanted to live. And if you were to research health and wellness coaches, and you're going to see that a lot of them say similar things. And a lot of them believe Like core fundamentals are not that different from one to the next. You'll have those weird ones. And by the way, there's weird ones in sales as well, where there's like some weird off the wall statement they'll make. They're like, throw everything you thought you knew about lead generation out the window. It's like, okay, right. All right. So there's those guys, the snake oil salesman. And but everybody else agrees on the general fundamentals. The real value of an individual or like a structured like approach to health and wellness or sales fitness, if you will, is yes, if you like the person, you're more inclined to listen to them, but also like the accountability and the structure is often what MSPs, I feel, usually are lacking. And so when they lack it themselves, they fail to provide it to their employees.
Yeah.
It's like, so I've never disciplined myself as a business owner to have sacred business development time carved into my schedule that I treat as sacred, and that like weekly, daily, I'm dedicating this. And these are the activities I do during that time, and not perfectly necessarily.
Yeah.
Like you're doing it. So if you're not doing it yourself, having a coach who meets with you regularly is like, hey, did you do the things? No, I didn't. Well, let me kick you in the nuts a little bit, because you should totally do those things.
I totally agree with that. And that's the knowledge is only part of the solution. The other one that a coach can provide that's super valuable, that's I feel like underrated a lot of the time, is the getting into the what's called the Gemba with you, GEMBA, or it's like where the work is actually done. And this idea of saying like, look, you can learn. I could write a book right now that tells you everything I know about sales.
Right.
And you could read that book and you can gather all that knowledge. I can even give you a multi-point playbook and plan of how you should go get more revenue. But at some point, the plan will stop working.
Right.
And the book won't tell you what's wrong. The book can't tell you what's wrong. Is it the plan? Is it my implementation of the plan? Like you told me to do the thing and it's not working. It's like following an SOP after an update. Like you're like, oh, I'm going through, but now I'm on step 11. And you tell me to click on the button's not there. Right. Like there's a version of that for every part of the sales process, every part of the revenue generation engine. And it's like, well, a coach is going to be able to look and go, yeah, well, that's because it's over here now. Or, yeah, you actually skip that step now. Or, hey, yeah, they did change the screen, and now that button doesn't exist. So we have to do this instead. Like a coach can provide that level of like iterative insight after watching you do the thing.
That's right.
That I don't know. Maybe AI is coming for that. It hasn't yet. I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah.
So on that same note of like the immediacy of the insight that a coach can provide, right? I'll give you an example. I had a partner of mine once call me. We had introduced a nonprofit to them because the nonprofit wanted to change IT providers, right? He had put together a proposal after doing discovery and sent the proposal, and then the prospect never responded, and then stopped responding to emails. And he calls me and he says, Skofi, I think we've lost this one. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he's ghosted me. He's not responding to me. I can't hear him anymore. And I said, well, what did he say when you called him? Like, what do you mean? It's like you didn't call him. He's like, oh, how do you know that? And it's like, okay, I'll call him, right? And it's like little things that, you can learn that on your own, but it may cost you to learn it on your own, because guess what? Robert and I have both been in that situation where we maybe fumbled a follow-up because we hid behind an email and we realized, the next time I actually had a conversation with that guy, I had built up this perception of the buyer in my mind because of certain activities or behaviors, when the reality is I didn't have all the information. But if you rely on your intuition that has not been fine-tuned, and you don't have a process to back up that intuition, then you will probably lose a deal that you didn't have to, burn a contact you didn't need to. And a coach can get you in front of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, going back to the whole topic, like people quit bad managers, not bad jobs, is that like everything we just said, when you hire your first salesperson, like that's your job now. Like you got to do that for them.
That's
You have
right.
to be the one that walks them through that helps them manage that mindset, that helps them be accountable to their activity. Like that's your job now.
That's right.
Like in the same way you as an MSP owner need that, and you've been seeking that out as you learned how to become an MSP owner, you now have to continue doing that job. You also have to you have to learn how to be a sales manager, and you have to kind of teach that person how to do that as well. Like it's just, I think so many people hire a salesperson and expect them to be a fire forget weapon, just like a tech would be, like a really good tech that knows how to deploy laptops. And you say, well, here's your SOP, here's our procedures, just go do it. And they go, yeah, no problem. And that's like, that's fine because you don't get ghosted by a laptop. Like, that's just not how that works. Like it's a different thing as soon as you mix people into the thing. And
That's
it's
right.
like, it's this joke that a sales process to walk a prospect from, hey, I think I might need a new MSP, to signed contract and onboarding. It's an imperfect partnership.
Mm,
Like they have things they need, they have skills available to them. You have things you need, you have skills available to you. You have to partner with that person to walk them on the journey of choosing a new MSP. And it's an imperfect partnership because you both, have different needs and wants and different skills. And that's just really hard to do. You have that same imperfect partnership with a salesperson you hire.
that's right.
They've got skills, you've got skills. They have needs, you have needs. You're in this imperfect partnership together to walk to what you're hoping will be a $60,000 or $80,000 a year MRR, new client revenue every year. Like that's a journey you got to go on with them. And you can't just be like, well, yeah, it's over there. Go find it. Here's a machete. Like it's just not gonna, I think we know from experience that doesn't work very well.
So it comes down to this real big problem that I see: people treating people as though they were calculators. Like a salesperson that I hire must be like a calculator. I push these buttons, it will give me an output. Okay. So I'm going to hire, I don't have sales, or I don't have enough sales, or I want more sales. Therefore I buy a calculator, push buttons, and it gives the, 2 plus 2 will equal 4. And when they push 2 plus 2 and it equals 2.89, they are scratching their heads. Like, what happened? I bought a salesperson. I bought a calculator. It's not, and people don't function that way. You talk about that imperfect partnership. You have to remind yourself, I don't care if that guy's got a Rolodex and a ton of experience in another industry. You're hiring a flawed human individual with needs, wants, and desires that you referred to, Robert, that are the things that drive them as an individual. So not only do you need to be able to provide a framework and a process for anyone you would hire, not just into sales, but in any function of your business, but you need to account for the humanity of the person. And I see a lot of MSPs almost have a disdain for this. Like I'm holding my nose and hiring a salesperson because I know I'm not going to do it. And it's like, well, you just showed incredible toxicity in your culture towards the people you're putting in there. Like, even if you had the right framework, the right process, and gave them all the tools and resources to be successful, if your culture towards that individual is like, you are here to produce and that is it, I don't give a shit about anything else, that person will leave too.
Yeah, they're not going to make very long. I wouldn't thrive under those circumstances. Even if I was making money, I probably still wouldn't stick with that job. But I think you pointed to something that's like hard to see from the inside. But I'm going to point out, and I remember the time this happened to me. I was sitting around at company lunch because the company paid for lunch. We're all sitting around, kind of talking in little groups, and I hear one of the executives at the company just, ripping apart this person, this slime slug of a person who had the nerve to cold call him in the middle of the day, tricked the gatekeeper, his executive assistant, and wasted his time with blah blah blah, and how this person is the scum of the earth and should probably get hit by a train or so. I don't remember the exact words, but that's what it felt like. And I remember sitting there looking him in the eye as he's telling the story, going, "Yeah, I do that all day."
That's right.
And I'm just like, well, but not you though, Robert. Like you're, and I'm like, well, what makes me different than like,
Right.
you telling me someone successfully did their job and you hate them now? But that's the job that you gave me. Like, what's the, I don't look good for me, And so there's this dichotomy we have. I don't know if it's unique to MSPs, but I see it a lot in MSPs. Is that for salespeople to exist and succeed, there tends to need to be a separate sales culture from the technical culture. And when the service delivery people, which often goes all the way up to the COO or the CEO, encounter the sales culture, it is treated with disdain. And I think it's one of those things that, like, if I was a high performer, I'm not going to put up with that. And if I'm a low performer, how will I ever hit high performer status when I know everyone here kind of hates me a little bit?
That is so, it hurts because I've seen that myself as well. And that is a hint at something much more dangerous in your MSP than just a lack of sales infrastructure, might I add. I would question in that scenario, as an organization, do you even know your why? Like, why you exist? Like, what's your core purpose and function? Because this is just core leadership skills. Like, if you're going to bring anyone around you around a common purpose, it's your responsibility, Mr. or Miss Leader, to facilitate the vision and direction, the purpose behind why you're there. And if you would ever hire somebody that does not align with that, shame on you. And if you don't have one, shame on you.
Yep.
You're asking an individual to give 40 or more hours of their life indefinitely to something that's poorly defined and that they may not fit into. What an incredibly dangerous and wasteful use of life. And you can't be surprised when you ask someone to step into that shaky footing that they get nervous and that they get appreciative and
they can't thrive. Like,
they can't. There's no oxygen there.
100%. And just this, we can talk about that particularly. Talk about a soapbox. You and I can get on that. Like, well, what's wrong with treating humans like humans? But that's a whole different story. I think the thing that I just like, if I wanted to circle around this idea, and like if I had to put a pin on what we've been talking about today, is just like, I'm tired of seeing. I'm not saying salespeople don't share the blame. There are very few things in the world that are 100% someone's fault. And usually there's blood involved, but like when we're looking at especially multiple repeated attempts to build a revenue engine outside of yourself as the owner and seeing that fail over and over again, like one has to sit down and go like, at what point do I take ownership of my failure here?
That's right.
And almost always in the ones that I see when I get the opportunity to dive into them, what I'm seeing is a lack of good sales management. Not necessarily bad management of like an employee in general. It's not like their HR policies are bad, but it's a misunderstanding of what qualifies someone to do this job well, and then how to manage them and how to push and pull on those levers to create a rocket ship instead of a bomb. And it's like, that is usually where the secrets lie, like where the mystery is, that is the difference between continued failure and success.
Think about it. That word ownership is so absolutely critical, right? And we're going to wrap up here because I know we've been, blown wind for a little while now.
34 minutes is pretty good for us. Actually come to a conclusion somewhere near 34 minutes is a record.
I know, right? You think this idea of ownership, right? take something that is important to you. All right, if you're watching this right now, imagine something that you own that you're proud of. Okay, right now you're about to take that thing that you love, that you own. Okay, and hopefully you love your venture. Hopefully you love the MSP you're building, and hopefully you, if you don't, hopefully you want to, and hopefully you're trying to put the things in place so that you love it. I want that for you, but think of that thing, an heirloom, a collector's item, a car that you dreamed of having that you finally got, whatever it is, that thing you own. Okay. It's precious. It's important. And now you're going to hand it to someone else. You're going to put it in their hands. Okay. Let's say it's something maybe a little fragile. Okay. Now you're not just going to chuck it at this new kid who walked in the door and be like, don't break it. You're going to spend some time with them. You're going to maybe educate them on what it is you're about to hand to them. And you're going to like emphasize why it's so important to you and why, if I put it in your hands, I hope it would be important to you as well. There's a level of care that comes with that idea of ownership. And you're going to take a little extra time and invest a little of, some structure around, I'm giving this to you now. But you don't just do that with something that you don't own. Like you have it, you take it, you run with it. And then you don't care if they break it. Does that
and especially when, again, I think a lot of people in the sales management role, they go like, well, I'm going to give this guy a chance. And if he fails, it's just on him because he's, mostly commission or something like that. But like, there's a cost to, there's their salary and, that stuff, but there's a cost to your confidence to do this in the future. There's a confidence cost to your team. Like, do they believe you can be a good leader? There's a confidence problem in the market when some schmo goes out and like messes this up for 6 months or 3 months, and then you fire him and their emails start bouncing. Like, there's a cost to doing this wrong. Even if you are poorly misguided and do a commission only thing, like there's a cost. There's a cost to getting it wrong. That's right. And I would encourage people, before you pull the trigger on that next hire, or before you even give up on it completely, like sit down and think like, what series of changes could we make internally as a person and as a leader and as a company to maybe make this next one go a little better. Just please do that before you burn some other poor kid just trying to make a living.
That's right. So we're going to wrap up, but I want to wrap up on an incredibly practical note. So Robert, I'm going to ask you a question. Let's say I'm that IT provider, the managed service provider who has had a track record of bringing salespeople in that don't work out. And I'm starting to have some aha moments through this conversation. And I'm like, oh man, I see why people are leaving me now. I see why salespeople aren't working out. 3 things that I should do this quarter, what's left of it. 3 things I should do this quarter before I hire my next person.
I would say the first thing you need to do is be honest about how much time and you can dedicate to their development, and like how much time can you dedicate to being a good manager. The second one is I'd figure out like realistically, what changes can I make to give them the best chance of being successful over time? And that means figuring out how much money you can blow before you have to really put the screws to them, because I promise you, a lot longer than you think. And then the third one is find a person who you can talk to that's done this before successfully. And this is where I'm sorry, #* sales from Robert. I got a guy starting in December that just left his MSP, who he helped them grow to over $100 million in revenue. He's hired, I think, over 100 salespeople. Like, the dude knows what he's doing, and he's specifically coming in to help us like 10x our recruiting efforts, because this dude knows how to hire, he knows how to spot the good ones. He knows how to fit them into the culture of an MSP, and he knows how to make sure that they can launch well into a company. And like, dude, I'll give you an hour with that guy for free. Just send me an email.
That's right. Great tactical advice, practical advice, Robert. Be honest about the time that you can commit to giving a good experience to that next employee. Whatever number you write down, I'm going to encourage you should probably double it. So you're like, I'm looking at my calendar. I could probably give an hour a day. Okay, maybe it needs to be 2 hours a day, right? Or more, right? Whatever number you're right, you probably need to double it. But so be honest about the time that you can allocate to it. And then how committed are you to providing the resources and the best chance for them to be successful, including cash flow, right? So it's a business decision to bring somebody on. Can you afford to bring them on? Right. You know, I see this all the time where people are like, as you said, like, oh, commission only guys. Those typically don't ever work out because like this is not like selling pizzas or shoes or a SaaS product you can add to cart and check out. And even if they did sell, you're not giving them enough commission that's like a livable wage, giving them first month or whatever. And, you know, that's a side hustle at best. And that, and you don't need someone with another side hustle because that won't work for this. And then third, finding someone who's done it before and sitting at their feet and learning and being humble and vulnerable enough to listen and do that we said earlier.
Listen and do, man.
Listen and do. All right, Robert, always fun. Thank you for being here. Sam,
so happy to be invited. Thank you so much, Skofi.
Always my pleasure. But we'll catch you at the next one. Roll us out, Sam.
Do we have a roll to roll us out, or I think we just hit end, don't we?
I think we just hit end.
We'll get graphics later.